Well, I guess it was bound to happen one day. Katatonia has officially immortalized their Luciferian love in lyrical form. But let's back up real quick. I was asked to review this new Katatonia song called Wind of No Change. At first, I didn't know it was a new song. I thought it was one of the older ones that I wasn't familiar with. I don't know their entire discography or anything like that. But I went and I checked it out. I started listening, started watching, I started reading, and pretty quickly figured out what was going on. And just so you know, we're not going to have the music video on the channel today because I don't need that scubalon defiling my page. If you know, you know. Suffice it to say, there was blood. There were female humans, and there was not very many clothes towards the end. So if you still want to go check it out, knock yourself out. But you've been warned. I still plan to go over the lyrics today because this is a band that I've been a fan of for more than 10 years now. And now our relationship's on rocky ground. Before it was like, I get it, you guys aren't Christians, and that's fine. Like, I still think you need the gospel and everything, but I can actually relate to some of your lyrics. I like that. They kept it ambiguous, and we chilled. But now it's like, oh, yep, gotcha. Yeah, full Satanism. Hard R and everything. Yikes.
Oh, wow, wow, wow. Wow.
So no matter which side of this you're on, maybe go get some calming tea and we'll jump in. So yeah, jumping straight into the lyrics. Daystar, over concrete plains, come forth and answer to your names. When I saw that, I was instantly like, oh, Daystar. Probably morning star, Lucifer. There's some biblical precedent that morning star doesn't always mean Lucifer and all that stuff. But in this case, it sounded like that's what they were going for. Answer to your names too. That was kind of an interesting, like, oh, okay. So, and then I saw in a note that this is apparently a line from the Satanic Bible, and they were just kind of quoting that. So I guess they like draw on all these gods and use multiple names to try to get Satan to give them some biceps or whatever. I don't know what they're thinking. And that's interesting. I just made this connection, but Jesus said, when you pray, you know, don't go like multiplying names and multiplying your words to think that God's going to like that more or anything like that. So I guess Satan has to do everything different because he does like when you multiply his names. It's interesting that his constant whisper rages on like a wind of no change, because a wind bringing no change would be kind of an ineffective wind. Like when you see wind, you're expecting some kind of change, either a change in temperature or the weather or whatever.
Alice, did you break wind?
A wind of no change, I guess it's like movement, but with no direction or difference. I don't know exactly what that means.
Wow, that is pungent.
And then further on in this verse here, assemble a temple of steel to stand on top of that building. That kind of reminded me of Satan's temptation of Jesus in the wilderness when he brought him, well, it wasn't in the wilderness at that point, but he brought him to the tallest building in Jerusalem, and he said, like, jump off and the angels will save you and all that stuff. And then they got this, and Lord Jesus, or what's his name again? Did he watch us come out of the fire unchanged? So kind of being, you know, flippant, like who's that guy again? Coming out of the fire, that sounds like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego when they were in the fiery furnace. Jesus actually was the fourth man that stood there with them and kept them safe. They didn't get burned or die. Are they making an allusion to that, or just in general coming through fire? Maybe this is like a reference to a trial in Jonas's life where he went through some kind of fire, you know, and Jesus, he had no response. He didn't jump in to help. He was impassible. Is that the word I'm looking for? But kind of being like, oh, that guy, like, he didn't care when I needed help, so I don't care about him now that I, you know, have found my way. And then the chorus, here comes our elderkin appearing where we lay in sin and sing praise, hail Satan. So they said the line. They did the thing.
Say the line, Bart!
And there's a lot more allusions to different things and some kind of maybe ritual, transmittals through the dusk to receive the authority, 7 heads of majority. Is that some kind of leadership in the Satanic Church? Who knows? And it's a broadcast dripping with his tongue, like these are things that are promoting whatever variant of Satanism that this is. This bridge was interesting. I won't sever the ties or not for one single second disgrace your name. Like, I'm not going to say anything bad about you. You came to me in my wildest dream. You're the flicker on a dead screen, present yet unseen. So they could be telling a story here. Like, I don't know if they're describing a certain character or singing, you know, Jonas is singing about himself personally, but either way, I mean, I've heard Jonas say on stage, praise Satan. Like, I don't really think this is out of the norm for him. Like, this is too wild, and he just, like, this just popped into his head. It doesn't seem to be super off brand for them, is what I'm trying to say. And the other thing that really stood out about this song is just the explicit way that they go through the whole story. I'm not the biggest Katatonia fan in the world, but I have gone through a lot of their lyrics in preparation for my last 2 videos I did on them. So my question to you is, have they ever been this explicit about a belief or a story or anything really in the past? Like, a lot of their stuff was a lot more ambiguous and kind of open-ended. So let me know if I'm missing something. Because I heard in an interview with Jonas that he said one of his stated goals was to keep things more ambiguous and not get super into the details about certain stories in his life, because he didn't want to open up that deeply about them. So to be honest, this kind of makes me think that somebody else maybe helped him write the lyrics. I don't know that for certain. I think Jonas probably still fully agrees with them, but these just don't sound like his normal writing style fully. So I might be way off. Now, in the wake of my sleep token video where I said I wasn't going to support them anymore, there might be some questions about if I'm planning to delete my Katatonia albums or anything like that. I'm not. I'm keeping that music. Even if they had the same beliefs during Night is the New Day, Dead End Kings, all that great stuff, they still made some great music with relatable lyrics, actually. I mean, I said they were ambiguous, but I think there's enough meaning in them that you can pull out like just, normal human condition stuff, normal human experiences and relationships and other things like that. So I think I can still enjoy it as a Christian and even maybe give thanks to God in the midst of those times. My job is not to avoid all non-Christian bands, products, stores, like things like that, or else I would have to leave this world entirely. And Jesus said that was not the plan for us during his prayer to his Father in John 17. Sleep Token specifically said at the beginning of their band that they serve a fake God. And some people think, well, because it's a gimmick, it doesn't actually matter at all. But they're still promoting a view of worship that I'm not down with. I know there are going to be some who say they're just trying to be edgy, bro. They're just like those bands in the 80s that were saying this stuff tongue-in-cheek to scare the Christian moms. You don't have to take everything so seriously. I don't know how to break it to those people, but
stop it. Get some help.
And I get it. Like, I grew up in a time when kids in our Christian youth groups would venture into the goth group at school to go, break down barriers and make friends and talk about music and Magic the Gathering. And I'm sure some of us encountered real Satanists at the time, but it was always seen as a joke in my circles. Like, nobody actually believes Satan's the good guy, right? That's silly. And we all know that sacrificing, goats and virgins is just a pretend smokescreen for a tortured soul who just needs pizza and ping pong to get back on their feet. And since I liked metal, I had abundant encounters with people like that who, I thought they were just misunderstood. But going back to the main question, if we assume that when people put Christian lyrics and they praise Jesus into their songs, these must be Christians, why don't we assume the opposite is true, like in this case? And I know there's a few different ways of doing a Satanism. You've got the goat and virgin sacrifice side, and then you've got the treat yourself and be kind to nature side, basically. Jesus called some Pharisees of his day sons of the devil, and they weren't even openly hailing Satan at the time. They would have said God was their father, but through their actions, they were making a mockery of the faith, and that's why Jesus called them out. So if Jesus can say that people like that can be under Satan, how much more would somebody be if they openly embrace this stuff? In a comment I got on my last Sleep Token video, there was a guy who said he specifically marked and avoided certain right-wing bands, so he understood my desire to not support Sleep Token. So clearly there are people who will take lyrics seriously eventually, right? Has to get to a certain point. Because like, imagine if a band was going to hail the Bad H-Man. You know who I'm talking about. And brace yourself for this one. This might be shocking to some. What if the band wanted to hail Bad Orange Man? So I think we all have a limit. Nobody really tolerates everything. It does depend on the hail list. Maybe you think that your line in the sand doesn't exist. You think that nothing is off limits. You'll listen to any song because it's all just words. Words don't have real power. They can't break bones, so they're not, ultimately that important. Show me somebody who doesn't believe that any words matter in a song or when people speak to them, and I'll show you a sociopath. Or more likely an unserious edgelord who's just trying to, make this debate point. Either way, I'm not going to be putting much stock in either one of those opinions. So yeah, thanks for watching this one. Let me know if this song changes your view of the band at all, or if there was a song from like the early 2000s that I totally missed where they were like, oh, we love Satan, right here is where we said it. Maybe I missed that. Let me also know if nothing matters to you, and then why are you this far in the video? I'd be very surprised. I mean, good job, you made it, but now I don't believe anything you say. Because you made it all the way here, you listened to all my words, but words don't really matter. I'm probably talking to 0 people right now. Anyway, I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. I mean, if it walks like a duck and sounds like a duck, is it a duck? Or is there no such thing as ducks? There's no true Duckman fallacy. I don't know about that one. Oh. Oh, you ever stretch so hard that you like kind of see God a little? Whoa.